Well, at the heart of a fresh dispute between Hungary and Ukraine is an oil pipeline that Kyiv says was damaged by Russian strikes in January. Oil has since stopped flowing to Hungary from the Druzhba pipeline that transports oil from Russia. Well, Hungary's prime minister is accusing Ukraine of deliberately delaying its reopening and has blocked a $100 billion loan to Kyiv. For more on this, I'm joined by Dr. Adi Imsirovic, lecturer in energy systems at the University of Oxford. Adi, good to have you with us back on the program. Firstly, what are your thoughts on this? What's going on? Is Ukraine deliberately slowing down the reopening of this friendship pipeline, as is being alleged by the Hungarian government?
It's a rather complicated picture, actually, a little bit more than is being portrayed. Behind the surface, what's happening is that Ukraine also produces some oil as well, and they used to put that oil into the pipeline and export it into Europe. And that's because their refineries have been destroyed by Russia. And Russia did destroy this particular leg of the pipeline. So it's a complex situation in which Ukraine depends now on imports and products from Europe as well, and now they cannot export the oil that they produce themselves. So it's a bit of a mess, to be fair.
Yes, and in the midst of the mess, Eddie, can you just tell us about this pipeline? How significant an infrastructure is this for parts of Europe?
Well, for your listeners who are not familiar, very, very quickly, the Druzhba pipeline was developed, it means friendship during communist times, during Soviet Union. There are two lines. One goes north into Poland and Germany, and the other one goes south, goes basically to Belarus, where in Belarus it branches down through Ukraine for Czech Republic, Hungary, and Slovakia. They used to be Czechoslovakia in the old days. So Czech Republic, in that southern part that goes through Ukraine, Czech Republic made an effort, and they're 100% independent now. There are two countries, Hungary and Czech Republic, that depend on the imports of Russian oil, but they do have an alternative. The alternative is import of oil through Europe, through Adriatic Sea, through so-called Adria pipeline, through Croatia. And they can import it, but they're accusing Croatia of charging them very exorbitant fees. And of course, Russian oil is a lot cheaper for them than the oil in the international market. So it's really a political game. On one hand, you have a Hungarian leader that is very pro-Putin, also benefiting by getting cheaper oil, and benefiting Putin by getting revenues. On the other hand, they certainly don't, they portray it as an insult to Hungary because they have to buy more expensive oil elsewhere.
Yes, and what do we know about the damage? Do you believe, given the attack happened in January, that it should have been fixed by now, that particular section of the pipeline?
It was at the end of January. I haven't seen the extent, but generally pipelines are relatively easy to fix. They're not a big deal. Obviously, under war conditions, it might be somewhat different. And obviously, they may need some Western help in terms of whatever technology they may need to. As far as I know, the more difficult one to fix is a pumping station, which hasn't been damaged. It's just a section of a pipeline. But as I said, I think Zelensky is not particularly keen to allow Russia anyway. So I don't think he was especially in a hurry. But at the moment, he is under a lot of pressure to yield.
Yeah, so do you believe, from Zelensky's point of view, he's now got some sort of a bargaining chip, in the wider context of the war between Ukraine and Russia?
Well, I think Zelensky had a bargaining chip until American-Israeli invasion of Iran. So now the situation is rather complicated. You've got everyone is short of oil, or has very high, if they have oil, they have very high oil prices. And now Zelensky is between a rock and a hard place where Europe is very, very keen to see some oil coming in and the whole European energy situation alleviated, whereas Zelensky appears, even though he's got the right arguments about double standards, he appears as an obstacle in a very difficult situation. So it's not very easy to be in his shoes at the moment.
Yeah, not quite. Just finally, how do you perhaps see this dispute playing out in the Hungarian election that'll be occurring next month?
Well, that's a difficult one as well, because I think one of the reasons that Europe, and this is my opinion, that one of the reasons that Europe, particularly France, is putting pressure on Zelensky is because they're worried that Ukraine blocking the oil supply from Russia may actually help Viktor Orban win the elections. The last thing Europe wants to have Viktor Orban for another term.
Okay, Dr. Adi Imsirovic, really good to get your analysis as always on the program. Thank you so much.
Thank you.